What's up? I'm hearing background music, double background music. Okay, I think we're live,
Mhm.
and I'm
Yay!
hearing a echo now. Oh
Everybody
God,
talk. Everybody.
Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. Is it
Test,
me?
test.
what is going on? Can you guys hear that, or is it just me?
It's just you.
Just
Do you have
you.
Yeah,
the
I don't hear anything.
do you have the stream open, unmuted in the background?
Oh man, well this is gonna be
You'll be like all those producers in the back listening to the show live, and also you're like on SNL. That's all that this is just preparing you for. I'll say
okay.
that.
Well, we're good now. I don't know what happened. So, welcome. This is gonna be a fun topic today. I am Master Wizard Walt, the Wizard of Infinite, and I'm joined with four warriors, starting with Olia, the Operation Sorceress. Say hello.
Hello, hello.
I'm also joined with Claire, Royal Decree Wellness,
Hello. Good
Jasper,
morning, everybody.
the Barbarian Wizard,
Ye- Yup, yup.
and Damian Curtis, who is him.
Hello.
We got an awesome one. We're gonna jump straight in. The pleasantries. We're gonna expedite through here. This is our fifth or sixth warrior circle here. So if you missed our other warrior circles and our other topics, then please feel free to go to our YouTube channel. We upload everything for free. You could listen to our conversations, drop some comments, and also feel free to subscribe or like the video, which also helps us get discovered, which would be super awesome as well. But we're going to dive into the topic. Not going to waste any time here. It's going to be a fun conversation, not confrontational. No one's trying to beat anyone in this conversation. We're just trying to weigh out two sides in our first technically debate topic on data versus feelings. Now, before we dive into this topic, I want to kind of premise this topic on it is not choosing either or, and it's also understanding not just what that means, but also why both are important and when to use both, and also how you can actually implement it effectively. So, before we begin, data, pretty self explanatory. Anything that is tangible. So that could be the reps that you're doing inside the gym. It could be the weight on the scale. It could be increasing or decreasing your shirt size. It could be measurements. Anything that you could essentially measure tangibly is in the data category. And feelings can be very, very broad. So feelings can be emotions. It could be how you move. It could be pain tolerance, as far as if you have ever had an injury, and you're trying to navigate through that injury, and you have a scale of 1 to 10 when it comes to pain, and it goes much, much deeper. So that's pretty much it. Data and feelings. On the right here, or my left, yeah, I think that's the right thing. Left, we have Claire and Damien. They're going to be representing the feelings category, and they're going to have Olia and Jasper be representing the data category. So I want to first start off on the feelings category first, and I want to start with you, Claire. Um, where do you stand when it comes to feelings based approach to measuring progress based on feelings? And again, this conversation is going to be about progress and how we measure that and how we leverage that to make changes and have a better understanding of our bodies and where we are on our journey towards our goals.
Well, as any of you know who've talked to me before, I'm a big big feelings coach. That's a big thing for me. And I know one of the first things that I work on with my clients, because most people are coming in, even if they have a lot of strength training experience or a lot of exercise experience, they're usually kind of disconnected from their mind and body in some way, as all of us are as we fluctuate through life. So a lot of my emphasis early on with most people, even those people that are experienced, is working on breath connection and auto regulation. That is like understanding the intensity, understanding your physical response to things, understanding how difficult the workout was by how sore you are the next day, how tired you feel, how hard you were able to push. So I'm a big sensate. I'm team qualitative today for sure, and generally am with a lot of what I do in my work. I do recognize, though, it is very difficult to find ways to make that tangible. So I often just tell people, like, you have to just start paying attention to lots of little things and notice when things change. So it's not necessarily as satisfying as seeing, a number go up on a deadlift or a number drop on the scale if that's a goal for you. But that at some point, if you start to connect more deeply with sort of with how you flow throughout the day and how you think and how your mindset is focused, you'll have a moment, like a little aha moment, where you'll be standing and realize you've been standing for a long time and your low back doesn't hurt. Or you'll go to pick something up and you feel yourself bracing automatically. And it's these little ticks and these little nice little boxes that aren't, again, they're not quite the same, but they're there. And that's what I really try to help get people clued into from day one. Just that building that connection with themselves and how they feel. But it's very intangible. I recognize that. It's hard.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect segue for, I think, Jasper. I'm going to throw it over to you. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously, data is very tangible.
Yes.
Where do you stand when it comes to that tangibility of data, and how do you leverage that when it comes to driving progress?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, there's a lot of things that Claire said that I absolutely agree with. I can take both sides. I can make compelling arguments for both sides, but today I'm choosing team data. Um, and the reason being is that going with your gut feeling it's a very very powerful thing. It's also uh, almost like a spiritual thing, right? Your gut tells you something, and most of the times when you trust it, it's right. Um, but there's times when it comes to fitness where there's limitations to it, meaning that what if you're wrong? Because if you're wrong, you have nothing solid, like no solid evidence to go off of. Like, do I need to increase my calories? I don't even know if I'm tracking my calories or not. I'm just kind of measuring everything with my eyes. I think I need to eat more. Maybe I need to eat less. I'm kind of having a bad day. I don't feel like training today. It kind of feels like I'm not really getting stronger, but maybe I'll feel better tomorrow. See, there's there comes a time when maybe trusting your feelings a little too much can lead you in the wrong direction and lead you into self-sabotage, right? Where when you have the data to back it up, you can also attach your feelings to it. So let's say you're having a bad day, you have just a complete shit day at work, everything sucks, you feel like you're tired, but then when you look at your fitness journey and everything that you've logged on your app, like your reps, your sets, your step count, your sleep, and everything, and you see that you're progressing in the right direction, you can attach feelings to that and bring validation to, I'm actually moving in the right direction. And I can prove it right here by this graph.
Got it. Damien, do you have anything to respond to that with when it comes to piggybacking off of what Claire was saying and also responding to what Jasper was saying?
Um, yes. So I mean, Jasper knows bodybuilding is mind muscle connection. We go
Absolutely.
off feel when it comes to pushing ourselves. Um, I have been going off feel for the past 12 years of working out. If my body feels great, I'm gonna push myself. If it does not, guess what? I'm gonna pull back on the throttle and not go too crazy. Uh, and it's always worked out for me. I know my body really well, and like I said, I go off feeling. Yesterday, for example, I did volume for deadlifts, and my lower back was sore oh my gosh, like it was hurting to bend down. And I was like, please, I hope I didn't hurt anything, which I didn't. It was just really sore to that part. Like I'm picking up my 2-year-old. I'm like, oh, hold on, boy, you know? So that night, got a lot of calories in, slept decently well. But the next morning, I was like, okay, if I feel good, 4:50 in the morning, if I feel good, I'm gonna go work out, do a push day. If my back is like, hey, bro, you're tender, chill out. I'm gonna chill out that day and take a rest day. Woke up, felt good. My back was still sore, but not even significantly as sore as it was yesterday. Went in, felt great during the push day and did my push day. I didn't push too crazy, but I did push myself and I felt great. So yeah, feelings get me through a lot of my workouts. If I'm feeling off, I'm not gonna go overboard and injure myself, and I've done pretty well with that for the past 12 years and haven't had any serious injuries. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Testament to how you feel, right? Like, I think if feelings were the wrong path or something that you should not do, right, then how were you able to make it this far on your intuition, right, and your feelings, engaging that, right? So I think that's a testament of supporting why feelings are beneficial in general, right? Oli, I'm going to throw it over to you before we kind of really start to get a little bit deeper in here. What has data done for you when it comes to amplifying or even just managing your fitness journey? And feel free to respond to any of the warriors in the circle who have chimed in already.
Yeah, so my background, my experience comes from everything is personal. I'm the only one here who isn't a coach. So mine is based on my own personal goals and my own personal results. So before I decided to hire a coach and just be a more well-rounded, well-educated gym goer, I had two goals. I wanted to get leaner and I wanted to get stronger. Um, Data was exactly what helped me move from the level that I was at to the level that I wanted to be at. Um, why is that? I cannot fully trust my feelings when it comes to things like measurements. Do I know if I'm eating the right amount of protein? I can feel like I ate a lot of protein during the day, but the numbers could be totally off. I can feel like I'm eating the right amount of peanut butter and getting just that, like, what is it, 16 grams, 14 grams, 32 grams, whatever it is the serving is. I can feel like I'm getting the right amount, but my feelings can be completely off. And before I use data to level up, I was I was going off of my feelings of I was eating all the right foods. I was trying to eat the healthiest things that I could possibly eat, but that doesn't mean that I was eating the right amounts of them. And I have you can fully trust your feelings when it comes to, like, and this is piggybacking off of Jasper, like your gut reaction. Do you feel comfortable or uncomfortable in a situation? How does your body feel? But when it comes to, like I was saying, measurement, that's not something that I can trust my feelings on. So that's why I think data is really important. Same with lifting. I can feel like or try to remember that I was lifting 225 last lift session for my deadlifts, but I can't always trust my memory either. So I need those numbers to go off of so that I can be smart with my training, so that I can be smart with my nutrition. Yeah, that's if you can get the gist of what I'm saying.
Yes, yes. We're going to put it all together here in a moment. So this kind of brings us to, okay, we kind of have both sides as far as like, okay, here is how we use feelings and here's how we use data. But when is one going to be more beneficial than the other? Claire, I'm going to throw it at you. When is feelings going to be more beneficial than getting that tangibility, which is what you were talking about before?
So obviously acknowledging that we all are kind of on the same side here and just taking, we're taking a stance to expand on this argument and the details because I use data for a lot of things. But I think Um, Feelings really come into play, kind of like what Damien was saying, where we really learn to get in touch with our limits. Like I've seen people get injured because they stuck too rigidly to a program and it said they were supposed to go up that week and they did, and they injured themselves, not severely, but had an unpleasant experience, pushed too hard, all the other factors weren't in play. And I think when we get into, it's hard to have it be really black and white with when we look at the full spectrum of our lives. So we again, and I would be lying if I said that I wasn't approaching every day with at least a little bit of data. Like I'm not someone that tracks, but I'm also coming into my nutrition and training with an enormous amount of knowledge that I sometimes take for granted. Like I know what my protein is because I used to track and because I'm a food scientist and I look at labels and go, okay, cool, 30 grams, great. And I just kind of add it to my little mental stockpile to make sure I'm in the right place. But then that doesn't override for me if I still feel hungry, if I still feel like under recovered, if I still feel like I need more energy for my day. So you have to take them both with a grain of salt. And I think just remembering, I think that data can sometimes undermine our trust with ourselves. Although I really think the point is it's taken to heart from both Jasper and Olia that like we're not right about everything and it is okay to question the foundations of our beliefs. That's a lot of what we do as coaches is help people challenge their own limitations. But I also think that there's a point where that data can start to erode our sense of trust with our gut. And there's like, how do we make sure that we're building up that internal self-esteem and recognizing when we need to rest, but still remembering like, hey, if you want to keep progressing, we do need to have you hitting these certain markers for these specific goals. Where do they come in tandem? But for me, always how I'm feeling will supersede everything else, and I try to honor that as best I can. So if I'm feeling good, we push hard. If I'm not feeling good, we back off. And I think that's one of the biggest times it comes into play is in that intensity and how hard we're pushing, and knowing that you're not being lazy if you're worried that you're injured or don't feel rested and like you have the energy. It's not necessarily a motivation thing. Sometimes it's your body just needing a little more time. Hopefully that answers your question.
It does. It does. And I actually want to go to Damien to kind of support you in this. Um, what if, let's say, for example, because you dove into feeling your back and really making sure like, hey, my back okay before I go into the next programmed session, right? If we were to say data is connected to actual systemization and programming and things like that, let's say for example you trusted your feelings, or let's just say, let me reframe this. Let's say you had a client that is maybe new to training, and maybe they just felt discomfort and they don't quite yet know how to gauge that feeling of just normal discomfort that comes to the gym, that comes with training in general. Normal might be just normal soreness. It might not be anywhere in the spectrum of pain or risk of injury, but they're just uncomfortable. And maybe they say, "Hey, I'm a little sore, or I don't feel comfortable going into this training session." What would you say to someone like that who may be kind of limiting their ability to kind of step out of the comfort zone and challenge themselves a little bit more, who might just be a little like, hypersensitive?
Okay, yeah, that's where I think it really comes down to feel. I would get them to do their mobility, start warming up, and once their working sets start coming in, that's really where I'm like, how does it feel when you're bracing, when you're pulling with that motion, et cetera, et cetera. If there's like a little hinge in your back, or a twinge, I should say, not a hinge, in your back, or whatever the case may be, then it's like, hey, let's set that weight down, take it off, let's do something else, or let's call it a day for that day, just because you might aggravate it more, right? And so that next day you're going to be really feeling it. So yeah, it just all comes down to feel on that part. At least for me, when it comes to those working sets, it's like, let's feel it out first. Let's get you warmed up. Let's get those muscles warmed up, get that blood flowing in those muscles. Let's see how it feels then. And if it's still feeling the same way, then let's back off for that day.
Got it. I'm going to throw it over to you, Aaliyah. So let's say, for example, I'm going to give another example here. You aren't feeling too good, right? but then data says you're supposed to be doing a 1 rep max on that particular day. When would data support you in going into that training session, or at least prior data, support you in building, I guess, the confidence and the motivation to actually push yourself for that particular workout instead of backing off based on how you're feeling?
That's a really good question. And I would honestly, as a non-coach, default to my coach for help on this. Be like, hey, coach, I have a 1 rep max coming up and I'm just not feeling so hot. I'm going to piggyback off of Jasper here, though, and I'm going to say, hey, I can use my data to give me reasons why I'm not feeling at my, best for the day. Did I not eat enough? Did I not get the right amount of sleep? Did I do something excessive or hurt myself the previous day? Something along those lines. So I could essentially use that to make myself feel better. But as far as should I be pushing myself or should I be motivating myself, I would talk to my coach about it.
Okay, so just so I understand, specifically, you would look towards your coach to, I guess, use data to validate why maybe maybe you should go into this training session with a little bit more intensity or optimism. Like, for example, looking at your sleep data.
Yep.
Your sleep data has been perfect for the past 7 days,
Yep.
14 days, or you
Yep.
look at your nutrition, like your carbohydrates are high enough, your calories are high and has been consistent, and kind of
Yes.
metrics like that is what
So
you're trying to
those
say?
metrics would give me the confidence that, hey, maybe because I'm not feeling that good. And oftentimes I find that I'm feeling physically okay, but I could have had a rough day at my job. I could have had a bad interaction with somebody. Something could have made me feel mentally off, and that mental state can affect how I feel physically. So using the data to kind of reinforce that I've been doing really well, that I have been hitting all of my markers, could help me get out of my mental funk, so to speak, and help me feel physically stronger to try to hit that 1 rep max.
Jasper, what would you add to that?
Actually, we can take everything that everyone said and kind of combine it together. And what I mean by that is when you're going into training, right? It's not just what you ate that day and what you have scheduled that day and what your training program calls for. Because a lot of the times when people think about data, we just look at it as black and white, the end all be all. But there's a certain level of flexibility to it where the feelings start to come in, right? Like if I'm training a client, like a bodybuilding client, and I'm like, hey, like for example, Alex Bowman, hey, how are you feeling today? I'm feeling good. Cool. 4 weeks out, that's not a good thing. You should be feeling like shit. Uh, right? You know what I mean? But if it's like
The data says he should not be feeling good,
the
but
data
he
says
feels great.
because we have drastically lowered down your calories, you should not be feeling good. You should be giving me the middle finger right now. But anyways, but the flip side of that is, let's say you're training some kind of an athlete, right? And he's been sticking to the regimen, like it's the holy Bible for like 2 months straight. And today he just can't max out or anything. Like, hey, okay, cool. Let's take a look at the data here, because when we take a look at your overall step count, your HRV, the amount of sleep that you're getting, and we're looking at the certain training blocks and the certain volume and intensity that it calls for each training block, we can pinpoint and kind of guess like, during this little 2 week block right here where you had a lot of volume, this is probably where it had the most stress on your central nervous system, which brings us into the third week right after that. Okay, this is where we need to actually pull the reins back and deload you, right? Because you're not feeling good. Mentally, you feel spent, you're stressed out, right? This is where you can throw in the feelings in there, because mental preparedness, I feel, right, is data that you can input. Like your stress level, your sleep, the amount of sleep that you had, your hydration, all these things can affect the way that you're feeling going into your workout, your mental preparedness going into workout. There are apps out there that track this kind of data and kind of know how you're feeling going into a workout. There's some watches out there that even track how much recovery you've had and tells you, hey, you know what? It looks like right here that you're about 70% recovered. Let's actually make an adjustment to your training program today and give you less volume. You should be feeling tired today. Like, you're right. I do feel tired today, man. My HRV is all over the place at work. I just had a rough day. My boss is being an asshole. I didn't get all my meals in. I haven't really slept in 2 days. And all the data shows that today I'm feeling tired. I really am. I can't do it today.
Okay. So I'm gonna bring it now. Now that we kind of got both sides of when feelings should be prioritized over data, data over feelings, I think now we're gonna have the kind of open discussion now, because I feel like we've just kind of revealed something very interesting as far as how both can be justified to support one another.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it seems like data can be used to dive into the why behind how someone is feeling. And it also seems like feelings can also justify and get the why behind why data might be going up or down.
Right.
So
So,
open, yeah, jump in.
so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So
No?
what I'm trying to say is, see, now I'm like, now everyone can see my true colors. I'm actually going in the middle here. I've always been in the middle. So I just chose data because just for the sake of argument. But yeah, you can't have one without the other long term when you have like specified goals, right? If you have specified like athletic goals, right, you need this data because you will eventually plateau, right? When you have athletes that are competing at the highest level, right, trusting your gut and your feelings will only take you so far. You need the other side of the coin to validate your feelings and your feelings to validate the data. But being a balanced person is you can't have an over attachment or obsession for one or the other because that will lead to making the wrong decisions.
And question, again, the open question, does experience level define whether or not someone should be prioritizing data or feelings?
I think so. Because right
I'm
off
gonna throw it. I'm gonna throw it over to Damien. I'm gonna throw it over to Damien.
Don't worry, Jasper. We would have loved your answer too. I'm sure it was amazing. Yes.
We'll circle back around. Don't worry.
Yeah,
There-
I think so. Just like if we look at Sebum has monumental experience, right? But then he had to get a coach named Rami,
Rambod.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
Hambod, and who's a achievement god when it comes to Olympias, and got him his sixth title. So no matter what experience you have, you still need that coach with the data and helping you achieve great. I also go back to the plateau, what Jasper said, and what Olia said about forgetting. I think I hit a plateau like 2 years ago, not tracking my workouts and literally doing the same weight for like a couple months in a row, just doing the same weight on certain workouts. And I'm like, why am I not progressing? Um, and it was because of that. I was forgetting what weight I was doing. So I'm doing the same weight over and over, and I'm not tracking my workouts. And so, yeah, I mean, anybody else?
Yeah, open. It's open.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree that experience level makes a big difference. And, I still consider myself pretty inexperienced. I'm only a few years in. I just had a little more life experience in my past than some trainers do coming in when they know that they want to do it when they're young, which is awesome. Find out early and get into this career. It's so awesome. But I know that that's part of like what I was saying earlier. Like I don't stress about tracking things as much because I tend to get obsessive with it, and I also find it tedious. Like I don't want to track my meals, and I want to write stuff down. Like it's one advantage to being ADHD as shit. I would not be picking up the same weight for a couple months because I would get the numbers wrong. I would add up my math wrong at least twice, at least bare minimum, and I would lift heavier on accident at least a couple times, or hurt myself, I guess. But I do think that's part of where I try to really toe a line with clients, especially when we're talking about nutrition, which, any of us that are fitness coaches and strength training coaches, we're always talking about nutrition because it's so, so critical to any of our success in here. And as long as somebody is comfortable, if I have somebody who is coming in with basically very limited knowledge, I usually have them take a couple day food diary, and I kind of vary that data based on the person. So just for example, like if somebody is very comfortable, I'll have them use a regular app that tracks all macros and micros and calories and whatever. And if they're not, I'll have them hand write things and not worry too much about measuring them because it will still give me, the person with more experience, scope and information on then what to refine for them. So I try to, this is our job as professionals, right, is to step in with our experience and help people. It's why we always encourage people to seek out coaches for all of these things. But, for me, I'm pretty comfortable. Like it's way more fluid. It's way more ingrained in my plan every day to have some of these numbers just sort of floating around me. They're not stressful. They're things that I know well, and they are things that I pay attention to. So it becomes this data sort of flows into this sensate part of us. And I like to think that for all of us, there are phases in our life where we rely more on data. And then when we learn from that data and we carry with us that innate knowledge and then fluctuate back through. And that's like a lot of the people that are coming to us. Like I deal with a lot of less experienced clients. It's like I'm just trying to get them to feel comfortable with how their body responds to different stressors and learning to push themselves properly. So very different than what like Jasper and Damien and Walt, I know you've dealt with that, clients with much more advanced and more technically precise goals. So my needs as a coach around data are also a little bit different. But again, the experience really matters, and somebody's own understanding of that plays a huge role in how much we use and for how long we use it too.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And this actually ties perfectly into something I want to throw to you, Olia, is when do we need to get out of our own way when we feel like we're being dogmatic with isolating and focusing only on one aspect like data or feelings? Because I know that was something that you mentioned before as far as you wanting to hire a coach and really having that experienced person really kind of show you, hey, here's actually what you're not focusing on, and this is why you feel like you're not making progress or might have hit a plateau.
I think honestly for me it just came down to I was just working so dang hard and I thought I could figure it out all on my own, but I still wasn't getting to where I wanted to be. So it's like honestly, it was kind of like a wake up call to, hey, do I want to waste years and years more, or do I want to get help from somebody that's proven that they can do it themselves and they can help hundreds of other people achieve similar things? So it was just fed up with my own self for spinning my wheels over and over again. And that just kind of was that moment. And this moment comes at different times for different people. It's kind of like a rock bottom in a way. For some not. I don't know. I don't want to use that word. It could be a trigger. But yeah, that moment comes for different people at different times. So I hit that realization that I was like, hey, I'm working really hard, but I'm not working smart. So I need to seek out a person that can help me work smarter. And data is what helped me work smarter, essentially. And I want to also piggyback off of Claire. I go through periods. At the beginning of my journey, I was tracking all the time. I did it for over a year, and that really gave me a good idea of quantities. So now I can use like a palm approach, for my proteins and my grains and so on and so forth. That's another tool that's often taught. And now I can very easily maintain my weight. Whereas before, when I had no idea about anything, I would just be gaining weight and I'd be like, where is this coming from? I thought I was eating super healthy, but I was overeating here and here and here and here. So yes, it comes in periods, right? I'm not a professional athlete. I have periods of, hey, I really want to go after my fitness goals. And I have periods of, I have so many other things in life that I have to deal with. I just need to, maintain my health and fitness as much as I can right now.
Great
I think
points.
we've all had like an ego death or like a crashing out or a rock bottom around this stuff. That's where I really see it as like a humble up moment of like,
Yeah.
maybe I don't know anything at all.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to ask somebody else, and like, maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like I think that's an important moment of clarity for all of us. And I do think, I don't think rock bottom's a bad word for it. I think there's lots of different terms that
There's
we all
different
know that feeling.
definitions. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like maybe I need some help in doing this right. Maybe I am working, maybe I'm working myself too hard in a way that doesn't actually bring me what I need. So finding that balance is key.
Yeah, I agree, and just to kind of chime in and add my 2 cents to it is, even for myself, I was on started off on the spectrum when it comes to inexperience, relying too much on feelings and no data. So purely ego, essentially. Coming in, trying to move as much weight as I can with terrible form, thinking I'm like hot shit, and I'm not even close to anywhere of where I could be or should be. And that held me back for a long time until I opened up a book and started to self-educate and started to realize, wow, everything I thought I knew was actually not really as accurate as I thought it was going to be. And that for me was a kind of like that ego death for me. And I think there's a lot of people who just don't necessarily go through that ego death at all, or or just it happens later on with their experience. So their experience actually ends up holding them back because they are so experienced with being in their kind of like box for long periods of time. And that's something that I've noticed with a lot of older individuals who have been trying to be active as consistently as they possibly can for 10, 20, 30 plus years, who are kind of just stuck in their own ways of how they're feeling. Oh, I feel good when I go to the gym. I feel good when I'm doing this, but may not necessarily have made progress or a substantial amount of progress in that time frame. So I think it's very important to kind of know, especially from that feelings department, to know when you might need to start to look at some data to really provide some justification of that feelings that you're having, so that you're not kind of leaning too far, or as they say, the expression, flying too close to the sun, and burning yourself with essentially plateauing, lack of progress, and just kind of being stuck in your old ways. But then also vice versa, right? Really knowing when data is not going to be supportive for providing you either that temporary motivation boost for you to actually show up, even though the data says, hey, it's a rest day. Maybe you lowered the intensity throughout the week, or maybe you just need to go to the gym for your mental health, right? There's so many reasons why you want to maybe sometimes put that data to the side and really focus on, hey, I feel like doing this, I'm going to go do it, right? Or I feel like I can actually push it harder today, even though the data says I shouldn't. It's one of those things where I think for a lot of people, that only comes with intuition and really comes with experience, and also trial and error as well. But more importantly, like Claire was saying in the very beginning, is really having that self-awareness, really gaining that awareness of yourself first and how you feel and how you think, and then building off of there and using data to amplify that and really provide and support you even more with that. So on that note, final question for everyone here. This was a very awesome topic that we had here. Data versus feelings. So I think I can speak for everyone here that regardless of whether you're inexperienced or experienced, whether you like one more than the other, both are necessary at a particular point in your fitness journey. one point might be emphasized a little bit more. Maybe if you're a beginner, it seems like feelings based is going to be very, very important because you're kind of still understanding how your body's moving, what you're putting in your body, and things like that. And then once you move on into your career, data can become more and more important, especially as you plateau or even just get close to your genetic potential naturally, right? So, again, open question for everyone here. When, or should I say, is there a time when we use something else other than data or feelings? Is there something else that we're not considering here when it comes to progression and progress?
Steroids. I'm still joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Um, my brain cannot comprehend what you just asked me.
I think
It's
I
an outlying
have an
factor.
answer, but Jasper, if you've got something, you can go for it.
I think his brain just did a little thing, so.
So I have one. This I'm not trying to be too literal or too like sneaky with the interpretation because in theory there is either data or there are feeling like there and they're both intermixed and that kind of encompasses everything. But there is a one scenario that I can think of, and this comes from having a physical therapist on site where you don't listen to how you feel and you track data, but it's a little bit different. And it's when you have an injury and pain and you're trying to recover from pain. And that is one time where you sometimes have to just do the thing. And even if and I know there's some data at play, but it's kind of like these situations where you've got pain when you're doing a movement, but when you do the movement and the pain doesn't increase and you know that you need, like if you've been diagnosed with an injury and you know you need to strengthen something to help reduce pain in another spot, sometimes you have to push through and do those things if it is under medical advisement, specifically under medical professional advisement. That is the only caveat that I could picture in
I
our
agree.
industry specifically. But that's a little bit of that still is like kind of data, I would say. But and you don't want to be in so much pain that you're causing. There's a lot of like physical and mental trauma that we can experience from pain being really out of control. I'm not saying just push through pain, but if a physical therapist is telling you that something is necessary and you trust them and it is safe for you to be doing and not increasing pain, that's one time where I think it's a little bit different.
I think also, depending on the situations, accountability lifting partner can help you push through plateaus, push you past your limits, even get you to the gym when you're not feeling like it mentally. I think some of my best workouts have been with a more experienced lifter that is morally right when he comes to lifting too, not ego lifting or anything like that, but really wants to see you do better. And some of my workouts when I wasn't mentally like, hey, I don't want to go to the gym today, get your ass up, go to the gym, come, let's do legs. And then like we get into a squat sesh and it's like I'm hitting my reps and I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm good here. But he's like, no, let's go one more. Okay, you got one more. I can tell you got one more. I'm looking at your body and looking at your fatigue, your breathing, etc. You got one more. And I'm like, I finally get that last rep whenever he says, hey, let's rack it. And then I get done with it and I'm like, okay, I feel good. Okay, that was good. Yeah, So another outlying factor that could also potentially help you.
I'm going to piggyback
Very
off
good.
of that and say community and support. Just not just in the gym, but just being around people that have similar goals, similar values, supportive partner at home, whoever that may be, just to keep pushing you and supporting you towards the greater person that you want to become.
I agree. Pain, injury, dysfunction, huge, where, like you said, Claire, data might not fully justify whether you should, push things or, go back to your old ways, right? And then also you might feel fine, but then that could end in a tragedy, right? And then Davian, like having that accountability and that workout partner can be huge as well. Again, data, right? When you're training with another person, there's not much data that you can use to kind of justify, that amplification of the energy and the motivation that you feel, and just having that outside person there with you. to push you and also give you direct and immediate feedback, which is something that might take either too long, right? Because data wise, if you have to break that down, like I don't even know how that would be like. And then also feelings wise, sometimes again, you could be going through a lot of feelings and emotions and a lot of things going on instantaneously, right? So it's having that outside person to kind of again keep you grounded and know when, hey, pull it back, and also having that outside person be like, okay, now let's push it forward. So I think that's a huge thing as well. And then of course that foundation, which is community and support, is so powerful and so huge when it comes to again having an understanding of data, right, and getting outside help and outside support of people who are tracking data, but then getting that emotional support of people who are either on the same path as you, or people that can encourage you, people that can motivate you or even push you. For example, if it is in a competitive environment as well, right? If it's friendly competition, that can be huge, which I just wrote about, by the way, about tournaments and PvP, Infinite Fitness Fantasy RPG.com if you want to check it out.
Go read it. Go read it right now.
Go read it. It was a late post today, so I know half of you didn't read it, so it's okay. It's okay.
Other people go read it. Other people go read it.
Other people go read it. So yeah, I think this was really, really awesome because this was about data versus feelings, but then we kind of uncovered and really kind of, I think, in my opinion, broke down why both are necessary and why both are needed, and when they are both needed and when one is needed and not needed and is needed, and also hidden ways that where things can connect the data and feelings and amplify that and take it to the next level with accountability, workout partners, support, and also really going through again on that very, very unique use case of pain, dysfunction, and injury. Again, from a medical standpoint, we really kind of can see the connections and also differentiation of each one of these options. So awesome conversation. Any final thoughts on data versus feelings, guys?
I think I would just say that if you're fully trying to go by feelings or you're fully trying to go by data and either one of them is making you feel miserable, that's the time to second guess your approach and seek out some help, and just always being willing to recognize if something isn't working for you. And because it shouldn't make you feel bad. That's all I'm going to say. You shouldn't hate doing it. You shouldn't feel like shit about yourself because of the way you're thinking or the way that you're collecting data. It should support you and feel like it gives you good feedback, whether that's intuitive or analytical. And that's when just always be willing to reevaluate and ask for help if you need it. There's no shame here. We've all messed this up at some point and needed to ask for help and needed to change our ways. So it's your path, and don't be scared to reach out.
And someone could also, by the way, like take off that stress from you so they could just put it on themselves, and make your life easier.
Yeah.
What are those fish in Avatar? Are they koi fish? Yin and yang,
yeah.
in the North
Mhm.
in the North Pole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Be a koi fish. Yin and yang. Balance.
Wow. Mic drop. You just leave now, Damon, and we'll be like, wow, we are so enlightened, man. That was like, everyone just needs to like sit on that right now. That was awesome. Love it. Love it.
How about
Can
you,
you-
Bree? Anything else?
Can you top that, Jasper?
I know. I was gonna say.
Check out the website.
There you go. You topped it, bro.
The link is coming up right about now.
Oh, wait.
The link is coming up right there.
Oh,
There you go. Get your sexy on. I've
Nice.
been saying for the past 3 weeks, get your sexy on at fitnessfantasyrpg.com.
Great send off on that one. Olia.
This was really fun. It was awesome hearing everybody's point of view, and it was so cool to see how we came together in the end.
No.
I agree.
Oh, I mean, it was so difficult. I'm just like, I'm so balanced though. I need both.
Yeah, I honestly, just from my perspective of you guys, I was very surprised by how I say open each one of you were to the opposition when it comes to thinking about the other side of things and not being so hyper focused on one aspect, which kind of is the core theme, actually, of not
Right.
being hyper focused on one or the other. So I love how each one of you demonstrated that. And, I had a blast, being in the middle ground and chiming in and just really listening to all of you and processing it and really, really understanding it. And I hope all the listeners also appreciate it as well. And like Jasper was saying, if you enjoyed this conversation and you want to hear more of these conversations, you can actually join us again next week in the Warrior Circle on Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going hard still to this day. I think this is number 6 in a row. So ever since we started, we have not stopped. And as long as we have people that want to gain value from Infinite and the Warrior Circle and are eager to learn and grow and take their mind and body to the next level, then feel free to join us live. We would love to see you all in the chat, either on YouTube or Twitch. Links will be on all of our social media platforms. And as always, this is Walt, Master Wizard of Infinite, by your side as your guide on your fitness adventure. And we'll see you Warriors next week in the Warrior Circle. Thanks for
Team
tuning
qualitative rules. Yeah. Woo.
in. And quantitative.
Yeah.
You need both.
I just had to be a little toxic right at the end.
Love it. Love it. Till next week, guys.
Bye bye.